Hey guys, what's up? This is 8-Bit Eric and holy testicle Tuesday. The future is here. Yes, October 21st, 2015. Back to the Future Day.
Back to the Future Day.
The day that everybody just dreamed about. Like hoverboards, dehydrated pizza, people wearing crazy shit. And guess what? None of it is literally here. I mean, sure, there's stuff that was kind of predicted. The Cubbies are in the playoffs. But what a freaking letdown. Regardless, Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3, well, not so much 3, is a trilogy of movies that is timeless, classic, and appreciated by the majority. Seriously, if you don't like Back to the Future, that's un-American. Even if you don't live in America, that's un-American. So today, to celebrate Back to the Future Day, we're going to take a quick look at some of the Back to the Future video games that are out there. Yes, I know AVGN and Irate Gamer already reviewed Back to the Future on the NES, but guess what? We're taking the pretend DeLorean all the way back a few years ago, and we're forgetting that they even did that. Alright? Tough titty, said the kitty, but the milk was still good. Bitch. So, Back to the Future on the NES has a solid reputation of being a crappy game just because it is an LJN game. Now, I know several people that actually enjoy playing this game, myself included. Now, does that mean I'm good at it? Fuck no. But it's still not a bad NES game. There's several horrible games out there, but Back to the Future's premise is pretty simple. In fact, it's almost arcade-like. You play as a black shirt-clad Marty McFly. Yes, he's not wearing the uniform. Get over it. It's a video game. Creative license. Hello? As you navigate your way through the streets of Hill Valley, through different obstacles such as bullies, tutu-wearing bimbos that spit bubbles at you, bumblebees, invisible glass holders, and trash cans that have toxic ooze and oil spills and all sorts of nonsense, as you make your way to 4 different landmark areas of Hill Valley that represent certain scenes of the movie. On the way, you collect clocks to, I guess, keep the timer up. If you run out of time, you fade, just like in the movie. If you hit anything at all in this game, it's starting over time. Now, there is a checkpoint in the stage, but it's really hard to distinguish exactly where it's at. So the best point of advice is don't fuck up. Now, you can wake your way through 4 different stages on the streets of Hill Valley. The first stop is Lou's Cafe, where you get your Pepsi free. But this time, you have to hit 50 bullies. Holy fuck. And they're all wearing the same thing. I guess they all got the same BOGO sale at Target on the white t-shirts. Anyways, you're throwing root beers or mugs, whatever the hell you want to call at them. Because for some reason, Marty McFly doesn't give a shit when it comes to rules at restaurants. He just got behind the counter and totally made himself at home and is breaking everything, and yeah, so that's unruly. So you have to hit 50 of them, and this is actually pretty tough. I'm not going to lie. Gotta be honest. Not really a fun mini game. However, it's necessary in order to complete, to go on to even more street stages. And you get the usual, you know, obstacles still, just a little bit of a color palette swap. Now, I forgot to mention that there is 2 power-ups in this game, a bowling ball and a skateboard. The bowling ball is used as a weapon, so yeah, this game plays a lot like a shooter. It's on rails, there's obstacles that you gotta miss, and enemies you can shoot. You earn extra points with the bowling ball, and it's not too bad, as Keith the Joking Gamer would say. The skateboard helps you actually navigate a bit faster, however, it's a lot easier to run into objects, but it helps the game zoom by immensely, and it's actually pretty fun once you have both of those items. You make your way to the school where you have to capture the hearts of your mother. Yeah, so this is representing your mother falling in love. Now, don't get me wrong, Lorraine in the movie was a cutie, but it's the whole mom thing. I mean, she was a little bit of a MILF, a little bit of a cougar thing going on. But yeah, you gotta capture another huge amount of hearts to proceed to even more street stages. Nothing changes here, the usual. You make your way to the school dance, which is actually kind of fun. It's a little bit of a matching game. You match the musical notes to Marty's position, and it has a little catchy tune. It's probably the only part of the game that actually has a different tune other than the horrible music that you've been listening to, which, yeah, we're going to touch on music real quick since I brought that up. The sound in this game, not great at all. As a matter of fact, it's very annoying. You might as well just turn it down and listen to the actual Back to the Future music. Just saying. You make your way through the final levels and eventually you go to the DeLorean stage where you have to hit 88 miles per hour by avoiding the lightning bolts that strike. And if you do a good job, guess what? You beat the game. Not much to it. So Back to the Future NES, very simplistic arcade style game, has a bad reputation of being difficult. That's because a lot of the mini games such as Lou's Cafe and The School are actually quite challenging, but that's to be expected with games of this era. They had to make them challenging in order to extend the time because let's be real, NES games couldn't be that big. I mean, my penis is big and it's a little bit of an illusion, but you had to work with what you had in the NES cartridge. So it does have a little bit of an unnecessary bad label. The game's difficult because it's difficult, not because it sucks. So it's definitely worth a look. Now we move on to the sequels. Yeah, instead of making 2 more extra games, they were both on the same cart. We got Back to the Future 2 and 3. Now, this game is a little bit more out there as far as video games go. Nothing in this game makes sense. The creative license was totally off the chain here. It's like a kid took a whole bunch of crayons, colored on a storyboard and said, we're gonna make this game the Back to the Future game. Because you're in a futuristic dystopia, which I guess, okay, Back to the Future 2 was in a futuristic dystopia type of place at one point when Biff was in charge after he stole the almanac. So you're jumping around, avoiding pits, spiky turtle looking things. It's kind of like a Super Mario Brothers ripoff, as AVGN put it in his review. That was right. It's a little bit of that, but you're looking for secret rooms that contain certain items. You gotta find keys to reach those rooms. You gotta scramble some puzzles. It's very cryptic. It's very hard. Compared to the first NES game, it's like night and day. Bananas and apples, or apples and oranges, or dildos and butt plugs. Dildos and butt plugs. Hashtag trending on Twitter now. So it's a completely different style of gameplay. I suck at this game. I haven't even reached the end. As with the first NES game, I can actually beat it. The second one, I just give up on it after about 15 minutes. Not going to lie. I know there's some people out there that might be fond of this game, might give it some justice, but I don't like it. The music selection is a little bit better. It's a little bit of a catchy tune. A little catchy, but you know, STDs are also kind of catchy, right? So, that moves us to Back to the Future 3. Tongue twisters. That moves us to Back to the Future 3. Now, there's a way to unlock Back to the Future 3 with a password system, and just like the other one, you know, this gameplay is, I guess, a little bit different than the first one. It plays a lot like Back to the Future 2, except now you're in a Western environment, and it's incredibly difficult. And I'm gonna be honest, haven't played it much, but I guess it might be a little bit neat to check out. My favorite Back to the Future game was actually the one released by Telltale Games on multiple platforms recently. I actually got to play it on the Wii. So, Back to the Future by Telltale Games actually takes place after the third movie, which is like watching a new Back to the Future movie that we never got. And immediately I was excited. I got this game for about 20 bucks at GameStop, and it was a point-and-click adventure game where you guide Marty McFly through several areas of Hill Valley solving puzzles. And the story actually is a little bit interesting. I'm not going to spoil anything just in case anybody's wanting to play it, but the graphics, not too bad. It's expected for a Wii game. However, the frame rate on the Wii, I don't know about the other systems, but on the Wii, the frame rate is just horrid. It's horrible. It's like watching something on a 56K modem and having to wait for it. Storyline aside, the storyline is a saving grace. Now, there's no way to die in this actual game. You can take as long as you want with making the decisions. There's no time limit. There's nothing that can kill you. There's no action. There's no fighting that is not based on your point and click. So it's a very easy game. The puzzles are not too bad. The soundtrack is awesome because they're able to replicate anything that you hear off the movie. The situations are neat. The characters are neat. The fact that Biff has ancestors that go back and McFly's actually go back to the Western days and actually before that and even past what we saw in Back to the Future 2 is pretty interesting. And I think it's a definite checkout. If you can play it on PC, that's probably the best way to do it. And yeah, so those are the Back to the Future games that I would like to talk about today. So it's Back to the Future Day. Guys, the future is finally here. Back to the Future, awesome trilogy. Everybody appreciates it. We are thankful for everything that movie has brought us. Captured our imagination, made us think of how awesome the future would be. And it's amazing to think that it's finally here. So now, guys, we are the riders of our destiny. We are the Marty McFlys. So don't let time fly, guys, because it goes pretty quick. See you in the future.